Many call themselves Christians, but do they really live like Jesus? You might have Philippians 4:13 as your Instagram bio, right? Just a student athlete. But are you really living like Jesus? You might go to church every Sunday, right? But if for the other 6 days of the week, you're thinking, I'd rather live my life, then what's the use? You might just be going to church just to keep appearances, to make sure people see you as a good person, but you could care less about worshiping, about serving, about loving. There was a man, a legend, named Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who once said, "When Christ calls a man, he bids him come and die." That is pretty harsh. And I don't think many Christians really realize what he's saying here. But if you go back to what Jesus was talking about, Jesus himself said, "Come and see, deny yourself, pick up your cross and follow me." He told us to count the cost, that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be, you can follow me, but you can continue doing what you like to do. He wasn't really saying that. He says, sell everything you have. Give up your life and follow me, because he doesn't care about all these things. He cares about you. He cares about your heart. The Christians of this day and age don't understand that. They don't understand what it means to be a Christian. So let me take you on a journey back to Galilee, all right? Back in the day, you had these young people who were training up in the scriptures, all right? All they want to do is to be a disciple of a rabbi, all right? That's like their main goal. They're training up, they're memorizing swaths of scripture. They pretty much memorize the whole thing. But here's the thing. With trying to become a disciple of a rabbi or an apprentice of a rabbi, there's only so many rabbis. These rabbis are like the greatest teachers. These are like, it's like trying to get into a university. It's a tough thing. And so there's a chance you might not get in. And for the disciples at that time with Jesus, they were the ones that didn't get in. They were the ones that failed. And so they had to pick up some random jobs like fishing, But when Jesus came up to them and asked them to follow him, there's a reason why they were so enthusiastic. They were like, dude, I'm going to throw away everything. I'm not going to go back to my fishing boat. I'm going to follow you. And like that was, at the time, that was like, it made sense because that's what they wanted. They worked so hard in their early years trying to become an apprentice to a rabbi, and they failed. And so now that they have a new opportunity to do so, of a rabbi that, like, wow, this guy has some insane wisdom, he's doing some insane things, I want to follow that guy. I want to give up my life, what I'm doing. I'm going to follow this guy. And so with the disciples, they would follow Jesus everywhere, right? We see this story where they were with him 24/7, 365. It's not a day where they're like, oh, I don't feel like being a disciple today. Let me just go back and chill at some farm. They were always with Jesus. They were following him. Everywhere he walked, the disciples followed. Everywhere Jesus slept, they were there. Everywhere Jesus ate or didn't eat, they were there. And so you have to learn about this what was happening at the time, what Jesus was calling them to do into this discipleship. Right? They are there with him all the time. And with that, you learn from Jesus because you're with him all the time. And after a while, you eventually become like him. You give up what you want to do. You give up your will, your desires to follow him and to make his will your own. All right? You might have heard of Saint Benedict. There's a guy that I've been studying with my men's group. Saint Benedict has some monks, right? There's a bunch of monks that this guy has. And pretty much this rule of Benedict, I don't even know where my notes are actually. Let's see. You can check it out. search up Rule of Benedict online. But chapter 7. You can't even see that. Damn. Chapter 7 talks about how they're giving up their will. It's like they don't even have a will anymore. They just do what God tells them to do. It's kind of sick. And I'm wondering, like, why don't we talk about that today as modern Christians? I mean, sometimes we do, but we don't like fully get the importance of that. You don't get to do what you want to do as an apprentice because you're following Jesus all the time, right? So the problem today is we've successfully created a culture where you can call yourself a Christian without even being a disciple of Jesus. It's a nice label, you know, like, I love Jesus, John 3:16. But deep inside you're just like, let me live my life. I don't really want to give up my desires, my dreams, my passions. We want the benefits of being a Christian without the commitment. You know what that reminds me of is within the West, I mean anywhere now I guess, but the culture of, you want to just live with your girlfriend without getting married, right? You want the benefits of marriage without the commitment. So that at the first sign of any trouble, any hardship, you can just jump ship and get out of there, injury-free. I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying that, but it's true, right? That's what you kind of want. That's why you don't really want to get married. That's why you don't want to be committed as a Christian, because when the hardships come, you want to just be able to get out of there, right? You have to understand that you can't follow Jesus only on Sundays. You can't follow Jesus if deep inside you care nothing about his will. It's not enough to simply say or simply use the idea of God's plan as a shield, as a veil for your own desires, convincing yourself after a while that your dreams and goals are aligned with his. I don't know if you realize how deep that is just now, what I just said. But it's okay, we'll talk about it another time. I want to show you a couple verses in the scriptures. Romans 12:1. Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Galatians 2:20. Fire verse. I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I now live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Your life is not your own, right? You cannot call yourself a Christian if you're not willing to accept the cost of discipleship. Whatever you believe is not as important as you living it, right? Because if you aren't living it, then do you really believe it? I was thinking of the call to action for this video. I was thinking, okay, like, what can we get the viewer to do? What can we get you to do after you hear this stuff? That you have to be committed. That you can't be a wishy-washy Christian right now. It's either you're in or you're out, right? And so I was thinking about call to action. What's the actionable step? But I don't think I need to say one. What's funny is that I think you already know what to do next deep inside, but you're just still on the fence about it. And that's okay. Like the change is not going to be overnight, right? Following Jesus is a full lifelong journey where we'll stumble and fall. We'll be fearful, we'll be scared. But I do want to encourage you as a brother that you're going to have to make the choice one day. If you want to be a disciple of Jesus, then you're going to have to commit. You're going to have to make that choice. And then you're going to have to learn how to stay committed for the rest of your life. And that's the hard part, right? How can you stay committed through thick and thin? You want to know what Barak Project is about? It's about faith redefined. It's about a religionless Christianity. Not the modern Christianity that we have right now, where you can just call yourself a Christian but live your life however way you want. Living your life where you don't even know who Jesus really is. You have a misconception of who the real Jesus is, the true gospel. And that's what we're here for, right? We're talking about truths. And hopefully I'm delivering truths to you. Always call me out if I'm saying something wrong, right? But what if we had these Christians that weren't so wishy-washy, bro? Where they really did care. And they really were like, yeah, my life is not my own. My life is Jesus. And everything that I do is for him. Only 10% of the people watching this video will be like, wow, this is freaking sick. Like, this is getting me hyped up. You know, come on. And the other 90% will be offended and say, yeah, you know, like, whatever. I'd rather live my life. And that's good. You know, that's fine. But when you do reach that crux of fate in your life, you know, when you've achieved that self-actualization, that personal fulfillment, but you still feel empty, then I do hope you remember this. You'll realize that the way of life that you were on is not it. Then you can come back and join me on the way of Barak. But this isn't anything new. I'm not doing anything new here. Because the way of Barak is really just guiding you onto the way of life, the way of Jesus, because he is the way, the truth, and the life, right? I know what some people might say, like, this guy he doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, he's 22 years old, he'll come to his senses eventually. Yeah, well, maybe times will change, but just know that I will be on this way till death, because when Jesus called me, he bid me come and die. So that's it for this video. Just remember, if anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them. So please, kill the flesh.
Phone up, girl, I need to go silent. Hold on, leave the city outside. Been so long since I let them slide. Emotions showing up uninvited. Phone up, girl, I need to go silent.